Can everybody hear me okay? Good evening and welcome to the school committee meeting for Tuesday, September 28th. Mrs. Pazerski, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Campbell?
Here.
Mr. Greer?
Here.
Ms. Boyd?
Here.
Ms. Braid?
Here.
Mr. Costello?
Here.
Great. Just so if everyone hasn't noticed, Mr. Costello is participating via Zoom tonight. Can everyone please stand to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to move right into our spotlight on excellence tonight. We have our preschool program director, Courtney Coots. Come on up.
I'd like to thank everyone for this opportunity to talk about our program today. I'm really excited to highlight some of our teaching staff. Oh, thank you. That will help. I'm really excited to highlight our teaching staff and our therapists and our support staff and especially our pre-K students. So I included this picture to start off because I know when many of us think about preschool, we immediately think of Play-Doh and fun and crayons, which is definitely a big part of what we do, but there's much more to this than meets the eye. Play is a developmentally appropriate way for children to engage and learn, and it's meaningful to them. Just to give you an example, the learning objectives with that Play-Doh activity could be to develop hand strength and coordination for pre-writing, create visual representations of experiences or stories, to engage in social conversations, develop vocab concepts and listening skills, or to explore math concepts, such as long and short and big and small, more and less. So yes, we do use a lot of Play-Doh, but it's for a purpose. Our mission in the early childhood program is to partner with families to provide high quality and developmentally appropriate learning for all students in a preschool environment that encourages diversity, cooperation, and kindergarten readiness. So this little crew here, this is behind Daniel Webster School. This is by the marsh. They were looking for fall things. They were being little scientists and trying to find signs of fall, like acorns and leaves, and a really fun activity. This is our preschool team. So there are 33 members currently of our preschool team. We have 7 early childhood special education teachers, 5 therapists, a lot of support staff, and our early childhood office staff. Our program is a district-wide program, and we're currently housed in 2 locations. So we have 3 classrooms at Martinson Elementary and 4 classrooms at Daniel Webster School. As I mentioned before, we have 7 early childhood special education teachers, 5 related service providers. So we have 2 speech and language pathologists that are dedicated to preschool, 1 OT dedicated to preschool, and then 2 PTs that we share with the rest of the district. We have a total of 167 students. 98 of those students go to Daniel Webster School, and 69 of those are at Martinson. Of the 167 students, 72 of those students have some type of identified special need. So here's the Martinson pre-K team. This is the first day of school. We're wearing our green shirts. We're all excited and ready for our preschoolers to arrive. And then a closer look at the Martinson pre-K team. We have 3 special education teachers. We have Nikki Shiro. She has been teaching for over 20 years in preschool. She was also formerly a phys ed teacher and taught adapted aquatics. We have Sue Wareska. She's been with Marshfield for over 20 years. And prior to that, she worked in early intervention with children birth through 3 years of age. And we have Andrea Pendrak, and she's been working with preschool for 14 years. We have our physical therapist. We have Cheryl Moran. She's been working with Marshfield for 30 years. She's district-wide. And we also have Christine Rade, and she's been with us for the last few years. Beth Peterson is our Martinson pre-K speech therapist. She's been practicing for over 25 years, and then prior to that, she was a teacher. And then last but not least, we have Megan Zadrozny. So she's our pre-K OT, and she's been with Marshfield for over 15 years. She worked at Governor Winslow School also, and prior to that, she worked for Boston Children's Hospital in the pediatric unit. And here is our Daniel Webster team. So again, first day of school, everybody's ready to see those kids walk through the door. A closer look, we have 4 special education teachers. Kathy Calabrese, she's been in Marshfield for over 20 years. Megan Richardson, she's been in Marshfield for 7 years, but prior to that, she worked in early intervention, working with children birth to 3 years of age. Pam Smith, she's been in preschool for over 20 years. And then our newest member, Amy Carter, we're really excited to have her aboard. She comes to us from Carver. She was a special education teacher there. Cheryl Moran and Meg Zadrozny, they both go between Daniel Webster and Martinson. And then last but not least, Monica Walsh. She's our speech therapist in Daniel Webster, and she has over 25 years of experience. And she also works at an outpatient clinic with pediatrics. So just a little history, the early childhood program started because public schools are charged with providing high-quality early education programs that meet the needs of all young children with disabilities within inclusive settings. So our preschool program is a half-day integrated program. We offer developmentally appropriate activities. We use a language-based approach. We are hands-on, multi-sensory, interactive learning. It often gets really messy in our classrooms. We also have therapist-led groups. So the OT and the speech therapist go into the classroom and run groups, and the physical therapist runs a weekly motor group for all of our classes. So it's a wonderful transdisciplinary approach. Our integrated preschool classrooms are all taught by early childhood special education teachers, and they are supported by our educational support staff. The maximum amount of students we have is 15, and to keep an integrated approach, 8 of those students are tuition-paying peers, and then we reserve 7 spots for students with identified special needs. We also have a program for our more children with more severe needs. We have a full-day program for those children. Preschool curriculum. So we focus on developing each child as a unique individual, approaching learning comprehensively across multiple domains, including cognitive, social emotional, speech and language, gross motor, fine motor, and pre-writing. Oops. We fall under the Department of Early Education and Care, so EEC, and we also fall under the Department of Ed, DESE. So we follow the guidelines for learning experiences through EEC, as well as the Mass Core Curriculum Standards for pre-K through the Department of Ed. So together, that looks like the middle there. So we focus on children's foundational skills, their social development, learning readiness, and then we also have pre-K standards in math, English language arts, science, and social emotional learning. This is just a little example from one of our teachers' weekly newsletters, just to give you an idea of what a day might look like. So for English language arts, the children are working on developing listening skills in small groups, asking and answering questions about stories that are read out loud, dictating preferences about choices and activities. In math, we work on our counting skills and shape recognition. And then for social emotional, we work on following classroom routines and meeting and learning about classmates and turn-taking skills. Each week, teachers also have a series of songs and stories that they incorporate into their week of activities. Here's an example of some of our weekly standards. So we expect the student to be able to sit and attend and participate in the activity, cooperate, ask and answer questions about a story read aloud, and listen to and say numbers in meaningful context. So just a couple of examples of what curriculum looks like at the pre-K level. So we, as part of Child Find, we offer 4 community screenings every year. We actually have one tomorrow. So this is a wonderful opportunity if a family or a teacher or daycare provider is having some concerns about speech and language or motor or a behavioral issue, they can recommend them to come to our screening team. We have a special education teacher, speech therapist, OT and PT, and all 4 of those specialists work with the child. And then they determine if further evaluation is warranted. Oftentimes they just provide activities for home or maybe a short-term informal service. But the process of referral is similar to children that are older. So if we do find that further evaluation is warranted, then there is a possibility that we would evaluate and then determine if the child is eligible for specialized instruction. So I have talked mostly about our programming in the schools, but the other big part of our early childhood program is our community outreach for young children and their families and caregivers. Oops. So the Hand in Hand Community Outreach Program is a collaborative effort between Marshfield and the EEC CFCE grant. So we have high-quality programs that focus on early literacy and child development. They also focus on parent education and family engagement. Part of the CFCE grant is having an early childhood council. So Marshfield's Early Childhood Council has been around for over 30 years, and right now the members include parents and grandparents, the librarian, local daycares, local private preschools, and we get together bi-monthly and we talk about quality opportunities for early childhood and care. So we're always looking for new members, so if anyone is interested, please reach out. This is our outreach crew. So we have Deb Warsh, she's the coordinator of all the outreach activities. Sue West has been with us for a number of years. She's a nurse, she's an infant specialist, but she's truly an expert in many different areas of child development. She wears many hats. We have our music teacher, Bethany, who provides wonderful music opportunities for our students and our outreach families. And then Maureen is our outreach support staff. And finally, these are just our outreach offerings that we currently have. So right now, there's an infant playgroup that's over at the Ferry Hill Center, and that meets weekly, and it's led by Sue West, who's a nurse, and she's an expert in all infant topics. So she's a wonderful resource for families. We have preschool age playgroups, and these are held Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and today's group met at Dandelion Park. And so what Deb is doing is she's having like a story walk, so the families can complete a story walk together, and then they sit and they have snack and do other like finger plays and songs and read a story together. We also have been hosting parent cafes via Zoom. So again, we host different developmental specialists, and they can come and parents can come and ask their questions, meet other parents. It's a wonderful way to just get answers to those questions about bedtime routines and toileting routines and things that are struggles for new parents. And then just a couple other groups. We're going to be starting a Mighty Movers group. This will be, I believe we're going to have it at Daniel Webster School, and we'll have guests to come from our early childhood programs such as the PT and the speech therapist and help to facilitate those groups. And the Little Yogis and the Music with Miss Bethany, those are 2 programs that we're going to be holding at the library, and that will be on Saturdays. So families that work can access that as well. So those are just some of the outreach offerings that we have. And then this is the last slide. It takes a big heart to help shape little minds. Thank you again for this opportunity. I didn't know if anyone has any questions about our program or... Sure. 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 Yep. Yep, you're welcome. Hey.
I think you grab a seat at the front there.
so we can have this mic here.
Courtney, I just wanted to say thank you so much. That was awesome. My mom was a preschool teacher for 19 years at Steeple School, actually. So that slide deck brings back a lot of nice memories for us and our family. And I've never heard about the Early Childhood Council. That's really cool, and I think that's great. And a question I have for you is that where do you advertise all these awesome programs that you have?
So that's a great question. So we are in the process of building our website. So we do have an early childhood website.
Okay.
We're just in the process. We just want to be focusing on getting our students back through the doors, but that is something Deb Walsh. She does send out an early childhood newsletter weekly to all the families that she has, as well as the families that participate in our program. And then pre-COVID, we would try to hang signs at the library or any most of the libraries, but in the community area. It's a lot of word of mouth, a lot of people sharing their positive experiences. That
Yep.
seems to be where we are.
That's great. So is the website up and running or not yet?
It is, but it definitely needs some more.
Okay.
So it's limited.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, when it's up and running and ready for public viewing, would you please share that with us? Okay, great. Thank you so much for all of your hard work. Do any other members of the committee have anything to say before Mr. Granatino? Yeah, it's okay. Yes, ma'am. Anybody else? Sure.
I'm just curious if we're able to meet the demand from the early childhood programs at the schools.
So this year we did have a wait list, so we have about 20 students on our wait list, but luckily we did get pretty far down. I think we ended up with 3 students on the wait list. So I am noticing that there is a greater demand, which is exciting for us. We'd love to have our peers, our community peers. It's of course rolling admissions for children who are coming from early intervention and already have identified special needs. So really, we try to create a really smooth transition so they go from their early intervention program right into their special ed program with us. It's exciting, but it's definitely a pretty challenge.
I just have, it's kind of a follow-up. I was going to ask a similar question to you, but, so what is it that you would need to expand the program in order to accommodate everyone that applies?
That's something that we have been looking at. We've been trying to see if it would be possible to have our program all in one location in the center. So we've started a little work there, but this is my second year as director, and last year was a bit, we were all navigating COVID and that reactionary mode for most of the year, so we look forward to really exploring the
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Any other members of the committee? Mr. Costello? I don't know. Can you hear me? Okay. All right. He's all set. Okay. Thank you so much.
If I could just say one thing, first of all, thank you as well, Courtney. And to the point of expansion, one of the places that we're starting to take a little look at is the building right behind us, next to the South River School, which is affectionately known as the Alamo. I'm not sure what the official name was back when it was a functioning school building, but right now it's mainly being used for storage. But down the road, if we continue to grow at the rate we've been looking at, that might be a space that we look to try to develop. Do they? Yeah.
Can take a tour anytime.
So that would be, would make sense in the sense that we have that already,
And another thing Courtney and I have discussed is also expanding the program to offer a full-day program for parents that work. When Dr. Dupuy was in Ms. Scalara's position, she always would say, bring your kids, have your kids going hand in hand, have your kids going hand in hand. But it's for peers, it's only offered a half-day program. So for working families, it's not a functional program for preschool. But eventually, with Courtney at the helm, we can really look to expand the program and offer more offerings for our community.
Well, that's great. It's good to see you guys working on it.
Yeah, that's the one thing we can't reach those families that work full-time, both parents working full-time, for them to participate in that program unless they're lucky enough to have a family member that can drive. So yeah, that's definitely something. We did put out a survey about the full day and people were definitely interested in that.
Great. Well, thank you again. It's a great program.
All right, now we'll move into our informational portion of the meeting, and we'll start off with Superintendent Granatino.
Thank you, Ms. Brate. I will try to be brief here. A lot of this were things that we would have mentioned at the last meeting, but as you know, we had to postpone that one. So some of this might be a little dated, but one thing that wasn't dated was last night, Mr. Miller and I were able to go to the Board of Selectmen's meeting, and they voted to, as we did at our last meeting, voted to create the Regional Planning Committee for the district to take a look at entering into joining the South Shore Vocational Technical Regional School over in Hanover. This planning committee has to be, per their bylaws, has to be in place. And the work that we will do mainly over the next few months is to look at all the costs and all the impact of us possibly joining that organization, what it would have on Marshfield as a community. We have to eventually, if we are going to continue to go forward with the move into the regional vocational school, would have to garner support at not only our town meeting in the spring, but at the majority of the town meetings in the other 8 communities that make up the regional school district. So, and we would have not only the spring town meetings, but if they have fall town meetings, we could get it there as well. So this would be for the, not next year, which would be 22-23, but it would be for the year after that, 23-24, because the way the timing is, we would not be able to be considered for next fall. But we, in the past, have had various number of students each year get in. The last 2 years, and we spoke about this previously, the last 2 years we have not been able to get new students in. The membership or the enrollment has been used up by the member schools. We have about 11 students over there currently right now, and we know that there's a lot more that would like to be a part of it, and we want to be able to offer them that opportunity. And if by being a member of the vocational school will garner us more seats, guaranteed seats, that will help our students. So there's a little legwork to do over the next few months, but we're excited to bring that proposal forward in the spring. And we'll update the committee throughout the school year as we do some work on that front. I want to thank the PTOs. Going back to the beginning of the school year, a lot of our elementary PTOs were really present front and center with our schools as we opened up. If they weren't set up with a variety of different tables at the meet and greets on August 30th, they were there to help when the schools opened, both with making the school welcoming for students in conjunction with the staff, but also to welcome the staff and do a variety of different events. And every year they really do amazing work, and I just can't thank the PTO enough. They actually start their monthly PTO leadership meetings tomorrow, and myself and Dr. Martin will sit in with them to continue the work in collaboration with the PTOs. I want to mention just briefly, Elizabeth Burns, a longtime member of the MEF, was celebrated. She stepped down from the Marshall Education Foundation at the end of the summer, and they had a nice little event for her right at the end of August. She has been a stalwart supporter of students and staff here at Marshfield since I've been here, and I know she's been here a lot longer and doing great work with the Marshall Education Foundation as well as other volunteer efforts, and her work is going to be greatly missed. It's an amazing team with the MEF, and she was a big part of that for many, many years. So I just want to thank her publicly for all the work that she did. Also, on the weekend prior to school starting, we had the Marshfield Facts hosted along with Duxbury's Facts organization, the Overdose Awareness Sunrise Service over at Harbor Park. This was the second year they did it over at Harbor Park, and it's really a nice event. They work very hard. Mary Price and her team do so many things throughout the community, throughout the region, on behalf of combating addiction and dealing with so many of the challenges that come in that area. And their work is has a huge impact on so many people, not only here in Marshfield, but throughout the region. The town also really banded with them, as did some of our students that week prior, putting the flags up at Town Hall like they've been doing for the last 7 years, to represent those people that lost their lives to addiction in the last year in Massachusetts, as well as Mr. Moresco in town lighting the Town Hall purple in commemoration of Overdose Awareness Week. And so it's a real collaborative effort, but Mary Price and her team at the Marshall Facts do great work. Just also, I think people that are going have probably already done their stuff and bought their tickets, but we are going to be able to honor our old friend Ruth Ann Despier this week in a couple nights. We were going to do this last year, but because of COVID, we weren't able to do so. So we're going to be able to celebrate her career, very long, illustrious career here in the Marshfield Public Schools at an event Thursday night. So we're all very excited for that. Also, speaking about different events to honor folks, we have the Wall of Honor. I know I sent something out a few weeks ago to let folks know that they could nominate people for the Wall of Honor. This will be our 4th year of nominees in selecting new members to the Wall of Honor. Again, last year's class that came in, we weren't able to celebrate them. We're going to be having an event for them a little later on in the fall, but we're going through the process of nominating new members to the Wall of Honor, or recipients to the Wall of Honor. So you were sent a link to a page that you could nominate anybody who's been a part of the school district as an employee, as a student, as a volunteer over the years, and all that stuff is explained in the links that were sent. We'll send out some more reminders, but you'll have until October 15th to nominate those that you might think would be good candidates for the Wall of Honor, and then the selection committee will go through their process that they do every year and come up with typically three new members to the Wall of Honor. So we're very excited for that, but we'll send out some reminders. Just last couple ones here. We are just celebrated last Thursday our One Book, One School Day over at the middle school, which is a real big success. As you know, Squint was the one book read for the middle school, and there were a number of different events at the end of the summer with students and parents being able to take part. But on last Thursday, we had, I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. Thought I was speaking into it. So last Thursday we were able to go over to the middle school and see all the different classes that were doing their part to recognize and to kind of work Squint in the theme of Squint into their curriculum, whether it was science, math, English obviously is a natural fit, history, PE. They were all doing something, and I know Ms. Campbell and Ms. Boyd were able to join us over there for a little bit to see what was happening in the classroom, and then at the end of the morning they were able to be greeted by the author Shelley Brown, or the co-author. She wrote it with her husband Chad Morris, but Shelley Brown zoomed in with the entire school, and we had a couple hundred kids in the auditorium, but the rest were in their classrooms, and it was really neat to hear how she became a writer, what motivated her to write Squint, and it was a great day, great morning, and the only thing that we couldn't do was have the typical photo that we do in the courtyard. There's just too many people in there to be able to do that. But it was a fun day around the building, and the staff and the students really did a fantastic job. And I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you.
Just to reiterate the One Book, One School, I don't know if you were able to sit in on the Zoom at all, but Shelley Brown was just amazing. She had wonderful messages for the students that were just aimed at middle school kids and the issues that they face. So thank you to the literacy committee at middle school at Furnace Brook for putting that together. So last week for our in-service, all of our faculty K-12 participated in a workshop through Novak Education with Mirko Chardon on universal design for learning. He did some great analogies of why we want to design learning this way, why it's important, how we can do some of this work. It's really, for those of you who don't know UDL, it's really providing options for students to access the content in different ways. So planning your teaching in that way rather than after the fact doing some differentiated instruction. It's actually designing your instruction to make sure you're meeting the needs of all kids. So he got great feedback. We are having Novak Education back a few times this year to follow up with that. I sent out an email to K-8 parents, but we did start iReady as a result of the Department of Ed's grant. It's a diagnostic assessment and then a personalized learning platform for our K-8 students. So the teachers had some PD before starting the assessment, and now they're going to have some PD on looking at the data. And just trying to use that information to make sure that we are meeting kids where they are, especially after the past year and a half. And then today we had our first Beginning Teacher Institute. So we had almost 40 new hires and mentors in this very room. We talked about family communication, and it was just very well attended. I was telling my husband before this that it was the biggest group I think I've remember since starting in Marshfield 11 years ago. So it's just a great group, and we had a really good time. So and that's it.
Great, thank you. Mrs. Scalaro.
I just want to start by complimenting Courtney for a wonderful presentation. Really amazing job. I'm lucky enough to work with Courtney every day as she falls underneath the special education pupil personnel umbrella, and she's just doing an amazing job, and I expect awesome things for this program as we move forward. The year's off to a good start. All staff at all schools are working hard with students and families to ensure that the specific needs of all students are met. The district's partnership with Effective School Solutions is underway. As I've talked about in previous meetings, this project or partnership has three main work streams that is helping the district to build our capacity to meet the mental health needs of all students. So there's PD, professional development, and coaching happening across the district. We also have a steering committee that is creating a multi-tiered system of support, mental health playbook, so that we really have all the services that we have available very well articulated with processes and procedures that ensure we have efficient and effective services for students. And we have clinical services for students at the middle school and the high school. So our teams are organized, and we're ready to begin this important work across the district. One component of this is professional development for staff and families. And I just want to let everyone know that the Special Education Parent Advisory Council, or CPAC for short, is offering a workshop for all parents, caregivers, and staff called Destigmatizing Mental Health. It will be held here at Seth Ventris Building on Wednesday, October 6th at 6 p.m. This workshop will help parents and caregivers have a better understanding of what mental health wellness means in a child, the signs and symptoms that can make a child appear fragile or aggressive or withdrawn, as well as specific techniques for helping that child to be more successful. So the CPAC is an organization for parents working in partnership with teachers and administrators to promote innovative educational environments where children with disabilities have equal access to educational opportunities, and all children are encouraged to reach their full potential. So we're starting the year with a presentation for destigmatizing mental health. There'll also be information about CPAC available that night. And then our next meeting will be held Wednesday, October 20th at 6 p.m. And during that meeting, I will be presenting on a presentation on parents' basic rights in special education, and we will elect CPAC leadership. So that is all.
Thank you. Mr. Miller?
Yes, just one quick item. Our ESSER 3 submittal is due next week, and we have a rough draft of that in process. The one thing that we have going on right now on that front is On our website, there is a link to the Marshfield Public Schools ESSER 3 funding allocation survey. This is required by the DASE and by the federal guidelines on the grant. Mr. Garantino will be sending out a message in his report tomorrow to the public on that with a link to this survey. But it's also available on our website under MPSD links and documents. We'll take that information. The survey will be open through Friday, and at the end of the day, Friday, we'll use those results to tweak our final budgeting piece for the $2.78 million that was allocated through ESSER 3. The money, as I said repeatedly, is available for us through September 30th of 2024. So it's a long-term. It'll be a long-term spending plan. It's going to be fairly broad in its first submittal, and we'll work through the process kind of defining exactly where that funding is going to be utilized over the next 3 years. That's it.
Thank you very much. Any subcommittee reports from the committee? No? I'm assuming no from Mr. Costello too. Okay, now is the time when we move to public participation. I see a couple new people in the audience here tonight, so I just want to remind everybody of the rules. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. When you come up to the microphone, please state your name and your address. I ask that you don't direct your comments to any one individual, direct your comments to the committee as a whole, okay? If you'd like to speak, can you please raise your hand? Okay, let's just start over here. Would you like to go first? Come on up. What?
Hi, Susan Petrie, Riverside Circle. I'm just here tonight to comment on something that I'm guessing some of the other people in the audience want to comment on as well, and that's the 8th grade English curriculum at Furnace Brook. I don't have a child in the 8th grade, but I have read the short story Superhuman, and I think it has a really powerful message, and I think what's happening is it's been grossly misinterpreted by a lot of parents who aren't breaking it down in class. The story, if you're unfamiliar with it, is about a Black superhero who has decided to stop saving people and he wants to destroy the world. And this teenage girl, Sarita, goes to meet with him to understand better why he feels that way. And he expresses his anger and his frustration at the fact that he gets all this attention for being a superhero and for saving people, but no one cared about the fact that in his previous life, he was a black man who was shot for the color of his skin. And he's in despair. You know, no one cared about me then, but yet everyone cares about me for saving these people. And at the end of the story, Sarita decides that she needs to remind the superhero, this man X, that the reason why he saved people had nothing to do with how the world doesn't matter what it's all your own perspective. And she knows that deep down he has a sense of humanity and this really good heart. So she steps off a building, not to commit suicide, but so because she knows, she believes that he will save her. And she knows that he will remember that humanity he has inside him. And what a powerful story, what a great message for students to read. I believe the story was assigned as part of a unit on perspective, which is fantastic in this day and age. No one wants to listen to one another. We get into political debates. And teachers are teaching their students to listen, not to agree with others, but to understand where people are coming from and to understand why someone's background and experiences might shape who they are.
Thank you, Susan. I'm sorry, your time's up. I'm going to have to cut you off. Thank you. Who would like to go next? Sure, come on up.
Tina Shea, 566 Careswell Street. Since this board only allows the parents of the children that they are doing science experiments on speak for 1 minute and 30 seconds, I will only have time for highlights. You are complicit in experimentation on children. You are complicit on landing my child in the ER. You are complicit in spraying toxic chemicals to poison our children. You are complicit in illegally evaluating medical and religious exemptions of said experimental child subjects. You are complicit in the abandonment of No Child Left Behind. You are complicit in the violation of our civil rights and on the said minor child subject. You are complicit in violating the Nuremberg Code. Members of this board and the faculty abandon masks when are not on school grounds. My son is home due to a 13-hour ER visit where they gave him an inhaler to wear when masking was troublesome. You couldn't deny a wheelchair-bound child till they could walk. Surely you wouldn't require a doctor's note. I raised my son to be honest, kind, and to stand up for himself. That no is always an option if you feel unsafe. You show him school is where you get sick and where you have to fight for your God-given right to breathe. How dare you treat my son this way? You are suffocating our children and poisoning them. This is not about a virus or keeping our kids safe. Your rehearsed responses to all my requests and concerns are crushing to a 6-year-old who missed kindergarten to avoid this chaos and now is pulled out of school because he needs an inhaler when the mask is bothering him. As a community, we can see that the state of this country has not hit you in the chest, and that must only mean that it is filling your pockets. There is nothing that this board, that this school, that this district could possibly teach my son that is worth trading his health.
Who would like to go next? Come on up, Eric.
Eric Kelly, Peterson Path. I am dumbfounded at this board, this committee, in regards to following DESE's guidelines where the health of the children is so impacted, and it's already clearly stated by Commissioner Riley what the purpose of this masking is to force these injections that are causing serious harm to many people, from young children to older people. The whole thing is that, why is this board doing it? Why are they letting an unelected group dictate how to run the schools? The only thing I can come up with is some kind of compensation to all of you. What it is, I don't know. The other thing is that, as a parent, I put my name forward to run for school committee, and other parents up here are squawking about the thing, and I wholeheartedly agree. There is a recall in this town to recall elected officials from their positions. If parents are that upset, you're gonna have to go down, see your town clerk, get the information, and put your feet to the ground and get the signatures and start removing people on this board. I'm willing to stand up and stand for your rights. You just gotta do the work, and I'm more than happy to help you out. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else? In the back there? You want to come on up?
How you doing? Tim Higgins, Maryland Street. I sent an email to you guys asking for you to vote on the mask mandates. I did receive a response. Wasn't the one I was looking for. Basically, I know you didn't make the decision, but we as taxpayers and parents deserve to know how you guys would vote. Being here today, I already know how you would vote. 1, for unmasking our children, 4 for it. As elected officials, be it a steward in a union or a politician or a school committee, you have to have some integrity. You're not always going to please everybody, but have some integrity. People will respect you more.
Ashley, did you want to come up? Okay.
Good evening. Ashley McKinnon, 184 Valley Path. Tonight, I am here to address the current requirements for the Test and Fay program in Marshfield and ask the members of the school committee, as well as the administration, to amend their policy. On September 16th, Superintendent Granatino sent out info regarding the Test and Stay program that would be happening this year. In that guidance, it stated that unvaccinated students and staff would have the option to test for 5 consecutive days as long as they were not symptomatic, while vaccinated students and staff are not considered close contacts and have no repercussions as long as they are not symptomatic. It goes on to say, and I quote, "Although students who are vaccinated are much less likely to spread or contract the virus, it is important for us to create an inclusive environment for both vaccinated and unvaccinated students. As we have now heard from several health officials, both at the state and national level, both vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals can contract and spread COVID at the same rate. In Massachusetts this past week, there was a total of 4,378 positive cases in fully vaccinated people, with 154 being hospitalized and 37 resulting in death. Therefore, I am asking you to amend your policy and make it an across-the-board state test and stay for both vaccinated and unvaccinated. You state that it is important to create an inclusive environment, so in making this change, you will be doing just that. I would encourage you to consider this when MHS and Furnace Brook reach that magical 80%. We should not be treating one portion of the student body and staff as elite while continuing to shun others who have chosen a different option or are not yet eligible for a vaccine. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else over on this side that would like to come up?
Hello, Kate Carr, 221 Hampstead Way. As a mother of 3 boys, the wife of a Boston police officer, and a human being, I'm appalled at the reading choices for our 8th graders in Marshfield. I'll start with the short story Superhuman by Nicole Yoon, a story about a young black boy who was on a quest to destroy humanity because he, and I quote from the story, got shot by the cops for being black on the street. This entire story is a blatant anti-police message and does nothing more than encourage children to fear police officers as unfair, violent, and racist. To quote the book again, because if cops are just killing black men without cause, then how can we be okay with that? Next, we can talk about All American Boys by Jason Reynolds. Once you get through all of the F-bombs and many other swears that are riddled throughout the book, you find the plot is about, once again, an innocent black boy who was shot by a white police officer. At one point in the story, a character does a roll call of unarmed black people killed by the police. A very controversial roll call, I might add. At a time when this country is divided more than ever, I don't understand for a second how any teacher thinks it's okay to require stories that promote the proven false narrative that cops are just out there shooting black people. If you think for 1 second this doesn't spill over into the lives of these children of police at school, you're grossly mistaken. You can pretend this isn't the start of critical race theory, but this right here is exactly what critical race theory is.
Did you want to come up?
Kristen Lyden, Parsonage Street. I echo the concerns of the book selection for the 8th grade this year. As a parent and a wife of a police officer, I understand that we need to listen, understand experiences of all groups. We need to show compassion and understanding. However, we also need to think of the families of law enforcement. We are your neighbors, your teachers, and your coaches. Children of police officers are proud of their parents and have a hard time when the parents are vilified for their chosen profession. They should not be made to feel uncomfortable in a classroom due to books being chosen that only show the negatives of policing. We teach our children not to stereotype or judge, but these books that have been chosen do just that.
Mrs. Marbles?
Sarah Marples, President of the Marshfield Education Association. I'm very concerned that the wives and families of policemen think that in any way, shape, or form, members of my association are trying to vilify.
Mrs. Marples, I need you to direct your comments to the committee, please.
I am very concerned that there are families in this town who believe that our teachers and our curriculum is designed to vilify, embarrass, or otherwise make any one group of people feel like their chosen profession is somehow unacceptable. First of all, the way our curriculum is designed, it has to meet the state standards and it has to meet the national standards. This is one unit, and It's designed to open our children's minds that there are other people out there who have a very different experience in life. I had somebody say to me, well, why don't we have more white people writing about this? They've had white people through 8 years of their education. And I challenge anybody. I don't want a man writing about my experiences as a woman. To think that a white author can write about the experiences and what a life looks like to people who are different colors or have different ideas is, I think, very short-sighted. I don't believe that any student in this school could possibly look at the police as if they're the enemy when we have great examples of police officers who are in our schools every day and set an example of courtesy, kindness, and reach out to every child that's in our buildings. So to think that one story is somehow going to corrupt our children is really sort of disappointing, because I think more of our children. They have a discussion about it in class, they talk about perspective, they say how they think that's really crazy that they might think like that, or that that poor person feels like that. But to try to shelter our children from what the reality is for other children in
I'm
our
sorry, I
nation.
have to stop you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody over on this side that would like to comment? No? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We do have some student representatives here tonight. You guys want to come on up? Okay. How are you? Good. Who wants to go first?
I can.
Sure.
So I was a representative last year for the student council at MHS, and I'm a junior this year.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you.
This is my first year of
Welcome.
Thank you. And I am also a junior.
Yeah, I'm also a junior. This is also my first year as a student representative.
That's great. Can you guys just share your names with us?
I'm Lisa Parsons.
Nicole October.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. So I'm going to switch this around.
Yeah,
I am. Yeah. Okay. So with the permission of the committee, I'm just going to switch the agenda around a little bit and let our facilities director, Fred Russell, come on up to give us an update.
So Mr. Russell and his one-person teammate, Mr. Bullock, not only just as a refresher, oversee our facilities and grounds, but also the town, on the town side as well. And there's a number of projects that have been going on both sides that he has been involved in, both on the town and on the school side, a variety of different projects. So he's going to just give us an overview of what's been going on and what some things that are planned for the future.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction, Jeff. The facilities goals have not changed. We're always trying to provide safe, clean, and comfortable buildings to all our students, residents, employees, and guests. We're always striving to make repairs sustainable and long-lasting. We want to correct the root cause failures of problems so we don't have repeat failures. We are concentrating on building envelope issues, roofs, walls, windows, and doors. We need to keep the weather and water out. We're intolerant of letting schools or any other town buildings, for that matter, operate for long periods in a failed state. Roof leaks, HVAC issues, plumbing issues, electrical issues. We have created and currently have numerous on-call trade contracts as well as on-call architects so that larger type repairs and improved projects can be implemented in a timely manner. We're always looking to ensure that schools and towns receive good value for any services provided. Some of the COVID-19 actions that we implemented last year that are still in effect. Last year we had a consultant perform an indoor air quality inspection and HVAC performance evaluation of all 7 schools. They all came back satisfactory. We reconfigured the HVAC control systems to every 2 hours for 15 minutes. The units go to 100% outside air. We contracted with KC Engineered Maintenance Systems, which is a national cleaning sales company that supplies cleaning and disinfectant chemicals to all 7 schools. We did this to minimize the inadvertent mixing of adverse chemicals by the custodians. We also save money, and we basically have dilution centers. We get it in concentrate and we dilute it. We installed air purifiers in the medical waiting areas and nurses' stations. We replaced all the counterweights in the hard to open windows at Furnace Brook and Martinson. So now they can be easily opened for natural ventilation. We replaced almost 500 manual faucets with hand-free faucets. We replaced all the air filters in the HVAC equipment. Some school-wide projects that we did this past year is we enhanced the security at all school front and main entrances. And we're currently going through another enhancement project where we're creating vestibule traps, similar to what we did at Furnace Brook about 2 years ago to all the elementary schools. And that's that Lieutenant Shaw and his crew have been advocating for that. We installed classroom door lockdown hardware. We installed carbon monoxide sensors where appropriate at all schools. Some site-specific work we've done. At the high school, we just finished replacing the field track. We're going to replace, this week actually, we're doing the gym air handler with defective cooling coils. So now the gym will be able to be cooled for town meetings and so forth. We replaced the field fire alarm control panel. We replaced the ripped fabric of the wall cushions and the damaged wall blocks in the gym. Furnace Brook School, we installed the air conditioning and solar film on the second level of the Section F classrooms. We disposed of outdated chemicals in the chemistry lab locker. We also replaced the field window counterbalances for natural ventilation. And we were just awarded about 2 weeks ago $65,000 to install LED lighting on all the fixtures in the classrooms. Martinson School replaced the entire building management system for the HVAC controls. We also replaced the counterbalances for natural ventilation. We repaired numerous roof leaks. We're working with the town administrator and a company called No Fossil Fuel. The town entered an agreement, a long-term agreement for solar array. And one of the benefits of that is that they're looking at putting on a solar array on top of the Martinson roof. And part of that deal is that they'll provide us a new roof. That's like a $4 or $5 million savings. They'll also do some structural enhancements at no additional charge to the town. Ames Way School, we upgraded the building automation HVAC system software. We repaired some field concrete in the rear loading dock and the kitchen stairs. We installed safety handrails in the rear kitchen exit stairway and the rear loading dock. We repaired numerous linear feet of field roof seams and flashing. We installed mini AC units in the library and main office. South River School, we replaced the obsolete and non-reliable smoke and fire alarm system. We replaced the main radio fire alarm radio box. We installed the service window at a nurse's station. We replaced the old field parking lot pole lights with new LED fixtures, as you can notice out here in the parking lot. At the Daniel Webster School, we installed a mini split AC unit in the library. We also repaired their rear concrete stair failures in the back. Repaired numerous roof flashings. Replaced a large field motor, exhaust motor, fan motor. Governor Wilson School replaced the entire smoke and fire alarm system. In this building, the Ventress building, we actually replaced the main hydraulic pump and control valve in the elevator hydraulic system, and we painted the exterior. I do want to say a lot of this work would not be done without the support of Superintendent Granatino and Assistant Superintendent Tom Miller, so I appreciate their support through all that, and then, of course, Tony Bullock, the Assistant Manager.
Thank you so much. When do you sleep?
This is the school side.
I know, exactly. That's my point.
Things are going good. I mean, the town, we get the capital projects underway, the police station, the senior center's underway.
Yeah.
Done. So it's been good. We're not bored, you know. So.
Yeah, I can tell. That's great. How many members of your team are there?
It's Tony and I, two of us.
Two.
But we have a lot of the on-call contracts have really made a difference.
Okay.
Like to get that Furnace Brook AC project done, that took the on-call engineer to do the evaluation of the electrical loads. We have a mechanical contractor to put the AC units in, and we had an electrical contractor to wire them.
Yeah.
So we have resources at our disposal.
Right. Well, that's great. We certainly appreciate all your hard work, and we know how dedicated and committed you are to our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you want to say something? Okay. Yeah. Oh, no. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Did anybody else have anything to say? Add to that? No. Yes, no. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go back to the top. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the old business, which is our week 1 update. Superintendent Granatino.
Thank you. I'll try to speak directly into the microphone. And I also want to let our students know it's great seeing you here, and you don't have to feel as if you have to be here for the entire meeting in case you have homework or anything like that you want to work on. You're more than welcome to stay, but you can also head out if you want to. We won't be offended. I just want to give a quick update. This is what I usually do at our first meeting after the school year starts, just kind of how the opening went. The first few weeks, usually we have a meeting at some point in time after that. It was a fantastic opening to the school year. I mean, there's always some glitches that come up, and I'll mention some of those, but overall, the opening day for students and initially for staff on the 30th was a really nice assembly of our team here. We started with a message that we've had for a few years now of every student, every day, whatever it takes. But we kind of augmented that with the idea of, the hashtag of better together. And that's something that we're really focusing on. And the fact that we've been segmented and been apart last year and been fragmented by hybrid learning, to be able to have everyone back in on the first day all together, riding buses together, walking to school together, it made a difference. You could feel it. You could see it in the students. You could see it in the staff. They were all excited to be part of something special again. I do want to commend and thank Chairman Brait, who spoke at the assembly and gave a very, very inspirational opening speech to our 600 plus staff that were present and shared a lot of motivating and inspirational comments. So thank you very much. We also had a speaker who joined us, Mr. Thomas Murray, who I think, I don't think there's one person in the room that didn't say he was one of the best presenters that we've had in the 7 years that I've been here, to help get us off on the right foot. And so many of his comments were dovetailed so nicely with the message that we've been sharing as a district. So that was a great way to kick it off. We had our second meet and greet night that evening for the elementary schools. And again, it's a long day for staff, but it gives them a chance to see their parents and students before school starts. Some of those first day jitters that many of our elementary students have, they're able to get those out of the way when they meet their teachers the night before school starts. The PTO was present doing a lot of things. We even had folks from the food pantry that were there just to kind of share information in case families needed any type of assistance. Day 1, the following day 2, and I'm not going to go every day for the first 2 weeks, but I'm just going to hit a couple of the high points here. Just seeing those students come in that first day of school was really special. We got shirts for the entire staff that had the Better Together motto on the back, and we had signs made for the buses that were going through the district to again introduce students to that theme, families to that theme of Better Together. And it was just a nice way to start the school year for those students. Our kindergartners came in the second day. They had a chance to kind of check the building out as well on that Tuesday, and then come in Wednesday with our pre-K students that you heard so much about joining us the Tuesday after Labor Day. A lot of that first week we had talked about at the previous meeting was focused on social emotional learning and kind of easing kids back in, especially those that had been out of school. You got to remember, many of our students were fully remote last year, and it's a big transition. And we tried to ease in with some exercises that were just getting them back acclimated to the environment, back with their peers and student and staff. And obviously teaching and learning was going on at the same time, but we really tried to focus right from the get-go with our Start With Hello motto, and had exercises and activities built in throughout those first 2 weeks. Week 2, we had a couple different themes working. On Wednesday of that first full week, or the week after Labor Day, we had Welcome Back Wednesday, and our friends from the police department and fire department joined us at all of our schools, greeting students and staff when they came in that morning. That's something that we've done throughout the year over the last couple of years, but it was nice to start the year off that way and be able to have them, fist bump or handshake or high five students as they walk by. Thursday that week was an Attitude of Gratitude Day, where students and staff focused activities throughout the day on contemplating what they were grateful for, which is a nice way to get folks focused on positive things in their lives. And then we ended that Friday with Spirit Day, and we ended it with the First Responders and Essential Workers Night. Again, that was the eve of the 20th anniversary of 9/11, and we were able to have representatives from the police, fire, and our nursing staff introduced and recognized before the football game. And I would say that it was probably one of the more special events that I've been a part of in a long, long time. We did it a few years ago. It got knocked off course last year with the start of the year and with COVID. But to have that back, to have that huge crowd, it was a great crowd of students and families, and then to have our firefighters, our police officers, our nurses recognized and celebrated, it was a really, really wonderful event. And it was a great game as well. And everybody from the players to our cheerleaders to our dance team just did a fantastic job. But to commemorate those first responders and essential workers was really just a great way to end that first week. Throughout the schools, our clubs and activities are getting up and running. Our sports teams are doing exceptionally well at the high school level. We have our runners going on at the middle school. Mr. Miller's knee deep in all that kind of fun stuff. And it's just more of a sense of normalcy. It's not perfect yet. I'm not going to sit here and say that with students and staff having to wear masks, it's back to 100% normal. But to be able to have our students back in fully in class, not having to be on the A or B team or be zooming in for a lesson, I think there's just so much more energy in the classroom and around the building, and you can hear it, you can feel it, you can see it. I've been around all the buildings now for a couple weeks, and we go in whether they're our scheduled visits at each of the schools or just popping in here and there. There's so much activity and action and energy, and the staff is excited, the students are excited, and it's just been a really nice opening to the school year. And there's still things you have to work on. Transportation, I'll highlight, is always a little bumpy, no pun intended, at the beginning of the school year. I think we've done really well considering how many more people are riding the bus than rode it last year. But we still find in the first couple weeks of school, some of the routes are a little longer. We have to kind of adjust them. Mr. Miller works with the bus company in trying to tweak some of those routes. We had a few issues with particular routes that we've been trying to iron out since the very first week, and I apologize in advance for any of those things that occurred. And I think the folks probably at the Martinson were the ones that had to bear the brunt of some of those issues. So they happen. We try to fix them as quickly as we can, and we work with our bus company, who's been a solid supporter of ours for many, many years. But when we have to take a step back and readjust it, we'll do that. And Mr. Miller works tirelessly. Besides doing all the budget work, gets to have the fun of dealing with some of those bus issues. So they get better each day, and by once we get rolling into them, we're second month starting at the end of this week. We're hoping that a lot of those things are behind us. So that's a part of the opening. It's been great. It's been exciting, and I'm looking forward to the things that are going to be popping up in the future for us as well. Thank you.
So overall, it sounds like school got off to a good start, minus the whole mask thing. Anyway, I'm using this as a segue to kind of revisit something, but it pertains to curriculum, which falls within the first week of school, right? So in the June 8th meeting, right, we reviewed the tiered focus monitoring report, right, for Group B standards, tier level 1. And we had 2 deficiencies in that, right? So partially meets. And one of those, which is on page 7, which is CR 24, requires the issue is a review of documentation, blah, 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 to ensure that teachers review all educational materials for simplistic and demeaning generalizations lacking intellectual merit on the basis of race, color, sex, gender identity, religion, national origin, and sexual orientation. And so we're putting together a plan, and in that meeting, and it was agreed to, not by vote, but agreed to by all in the meeting, that we would include politically biased content.
Can you talk into the microphone?
Yep, and it was agreed by the group, not by vote, but just nods and acknowledgments that we would include politically biased content as part of that review. So since that particular item isn't on the agenda, I don't expect a response to that, but I would like to see some objective evidence that that has, in fact, been incorporated into our plan. But anyway, that aside, I just needed the segue, right? So first week of school. But great job overall. I hear from my kids that it's going well so far. So great job, Jeff.
Thank you very much. And again, there's always room to improve. I'm the first to admit that. And we'll have some follow-up on some of those things that you're talking about, Mr. Greer. Not everything's been finalized yet on that work, but as we go further along, we'll come back and report out to the committee. So thank you.
Are there any other members of the committee that would like to add anything here? No. Ms. Boyd? No. Mr. Costello? Can you see him? No, he's all set.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Yep. I know.
But I have no questions. I'll just echo what everybody else has said, that I appreciate all the work that goes into the beginning of the school year. And I'll take the opportunity, I guess, to just very quickly address, I wish I could be with all of you in person tonight. Unfortunately, I am a breakthrough COVID case. For those of you, I believe I had talked to the members of the committee individually to let folks know, but I am a breakthrough COVID case. I am doing just fine, but obviously out of an abundance of caution and following the quarantine rules, just want to make sure I'm not putting anybody else at risk. I am out of quarantine, out of COVID jail tomorrow afternoon, but appreciate everybody allowing me to Zoom in tonight. And again, Mr. Granatino, appreciate the work you and everybody else has done to make this school year start as good as it can. So appreciate all of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Mr. Costello? Sorry, I always use everyone's first name. I'm not supposed to do that. So just a couple quick things. Listening, I was there to participate in some of the first couple week activities. Thank you for allowing me to do that. One of the things that I love that I always see in Marshfield is the sense of community. You talked about, the food pantry was there for the first time ever. One of our great community partners, our Better Together, slogan that we're using. Our community partners, the police and the fire department, our Welcome Back Wednesday, our Attitude of Gratitude, First Responders Night. We're excited to have everybody back in person. I guess would like to say that I love the sense of community that we have here in Marshfield, and I just want to be sure that we put our community first when we're making decisions about things that happen in the schools, and respecting our community partners and showing them that we're grateful for all their hard work. Moving on, we can go on to the test and stay protocols.
Okay, I just want to update the group here, as well as those that are present or watching. We, like many districts in the area, are going forward with the test and stay model, working with the state. CIC, I think a lot of this is stuff that I sent home, but just a quick refresher. CIC is the organization that's working with DESE to provide the districts that are going through this process with the staffing needed. One of the bigger concerns that we had when we were looking at this over the summer was the impact it would have on staffing. We have our nurses are working full-time as it is with the realities of just everyday nursing in schools, mixed in with some COVID impacts. And so what we didn't want to do was task them with something else that was going to keep them away from so many of our students when they were in need during the day. And so this group, CIC, goes out and recruits certified nurses, LPNs, for us to make this process work. We have a certified nurse that's been hired who will be our site supervisor when this kicks off. There are two other people, though, that work with that person, a sample collector and a site observer, and those folks still are not in place yet. We're hoping they could be in place by the end of this week, but we're just not positive. So our goal was to have this up and running next week, but we're probably looking now at the following week, right after Columbus Day on the 12th. If things change within the next couple days to the positive, then we'll let folks know. But once we have those folks in place, there's also some data portals that CIC has not set up yet for us to be able to track all this information, and that's kind of one of the follow-up steps that are needed if we implement this. Again, when up and running, this will allow students whose parents have given consent to allow their child to be tested with a simple nasal swab, not the old-fashioned long swab that was somewhat uncomfortable. This is a very user-friendly swab, although again, for our littlest ones, any type of test is probably scary. So again, if parents didn't want to have their child involved in that, they didn't have to. But if they do take part in that, then they can and test negative each day. They'll be able to stay in school. They'll be able to partake in extracurricular activities. They'll be able to ride the bus. Those things will not have to change. And so, again, the goal was to start it the first full week of October. But right now, we're looking like we're probably going to have to do it the second week. Again, I'm hoping that it can be a little earlier than that. But once it's running, I think we'll be in a great spot. As I mentioned at the previous meeting, we had also gone out and hired, using some of our ESSER funds, a certified nurse assistant to be focused at the elementary level. Again, each of our elementary schools have one nurse per building, and there's a lot of follow-up that has to happen with many of the things that they're doing. And to have a certified nurse assistant who can kind of bounce around, although the main focus for that person will be at the Martinson, because it is the biggest of the elementaries, and they have by far the largest foot traffic in and out of the nurses station of any of our elementary schools. So this certified nurse assistant, who will also be starting up on the 12th, will be able to help us on a number of different areas, as well as be able to provide some medical care. They're not certified nurses, but they're able to do some of the things that aren't necessitated with a nursing license to help out some. But we also talked as a team with Ms. Scalaro, Mr. Miller, myself, Dr. Martin, the principals, and we are again using ESSER funds to provide 2 additional nurses that will kind of swing throughout the district. And I think this is something that I know the committee had spoken of earlier in the year, earlier in the summer, as far as where we needed things. And I think the 2 areas that came up the most were nursing and custodians. And we've increased the hours of some of our part-time custodians. We did that last year. We just continued it this year. But these 2 additional nurses, again, that won't be coming out of the operating budget, will be able to help not only the elementary but our secondary schools as well as needed. And as we get going on the test and stay, if there's some assistance needed, for whatever reason, we're hoping that they'll be able to lend a hand accordingly. But we do see a large number of students visiting the nurses' offices throughout the district, and we want to make sure that we have the staffing that's needed. Because again, there's a lot of follow-up that our nurses have been doing, that if they have a few extra hands on board, we'll be able to better meet the needs of the students. So we're excited to do that. Those have been posted for a while, and we'll hopefully be finalizing that in the next week or so. So that's what I have on the test and stay for now. But as I get more information, I will get it out ASAP to everybody.
I just have a quick question. Out of curiosity, how many families filled out the consent form?
That I do not know just off the top of my head. Those numbers go into the CIC portal. So what's going to happen is once and this is one of the things that they haven't been able to do for us yet, is to get that data into our we'll probably go into our SNAP program, which is our nurses program. So we'll be able to know from them who gave us consent. So I don't have that exact number right now, but if I get it soon enough, I will share that out.
I don't have a question. I'm just really happy to see the additional nursing support being brought in, especially at Martinson. I know that's been a conversation, and as a Martinson parent, just very appreciative to see that happening. Thank you.
Oh, it's okay. Can I talk?
Sure.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Okay. So, test and stay. I like the fact that, DESE is following the science. It just happens to be political science and science fiction, right? If it's within our power, I would like the board to consider, right, anybody that's had COVID, right? I get my science from work. It exists 50 feet from my desk. I have a whole team of people that are working on SARS-CoV-2, right? So I can't believe what I see on the news.
Please speak into the microphone because people can't hear you.
All right. So, I lose IQ points when I read this stuff, right? So we have a mandate here. All its kids and staff, have to wear a mask. Visitors are expected to wear a mask, right? So I guess this expectation, right? Like I would expect an appointed official not to be able to cut the legs out from an elected board that are elected to represent the people of the community, right? I also expect that when we know about things like this, the board takes a position, whether it's, regardless of what it is, right? We have to voice our opinion. In fairness to the superintendent, by law, actually, when a policy doesn't exist or a decision needs to be made, the superintendent can make that decision, right? And I stand behind the decision that Jeff made, regarding the mask. So in implementation of controls, which goes along with that, right? Because you have to be able to manage what it is that you implement. However, the expectation is at the next meeting, the school committee addresses it. They either ratify the superintendent's decision and make it official, or they make changes to that and modify that. I think we as a committee, I also had the expectation that, even forget the mask thing, that we would take a position and let Jeff Riley know where we stand and stop making the decisions for the community. We're not Boston, we're not Lowell, we're not Worcester, we're not any of these other communities, and we've got to stop with the one-size-fits-all solutions to all of this. So if it's within our power to make changes to this test and stay, I want to see this as an agenda item. And regardless, even implementation of it, I would like the committee to take a position on it. That's all I got.
Okay, I don't know if it's within our power to make changes to that. We can find out, and I can let you know. Okay? Yep. Any other members of the committee? Mr. Costello?
I'm good, Ms. Bray. I think my absence in person tonight, unless there's a burning question that I have, I may save you all the pain of having to listen to me talk for one meeting. So if there is a question, I will, if somebody's manning the Zoom, I'll use the raise hand feature.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, so let's move on to the acceptance of donations.
Again, a quick item here. Just we had, again, talking about the community and talking about people stepping out to assist the school district in any fashion, large or small. There were 3 different groups that did give donations at the beginning of the school year. I just want to recognize them and give the committee the opportunity to be able to accept those donations. Mr. Mario Bianco, the general manager of Service Master, actually provided us with a $1,250 donation that could go towards any type of school supplies that we felt. Marlon Bianco. So $1,250 to go towards school supplies. We also received a donation of school supplies from Kerwin Surgical Products, as well as Dr. Grazioso and South Shore Dental gave every first grader pencils to start the school year. So all 3 of these individuals and organizations were very generous and kind to be thinking of us at the beginning of the school year, and I want to be able to recognize them here, and we'll follow up with a thank you letter as well. I believe one of the donations from Kerwin went to South River, and they may have already thanked them, but typically the committee has a chance to make a motion to accept those donations, and it goes into our minutes. That's it?
Does somebody want to make a motion?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I can't share a microphone with Mr. Greer again. Motion to accept the donations given to us from Service Master, South Shore Children's Dentistry, and Kerwin Surgical Products for school supplies.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, and then now we will move on to special town meeting.
I'll turn this over to Mr. Miller. We only have a few items actually that are on warrants on the special town meeting for the fall, but we find ourselves in a very fortunate spot with the support that we're getting from the town. So I'll let Mr. Miller explain.
Sure, thank you. Thank you. There's actually 35 articles on the special town meeting warrant. However, all but 9 of them are zoning articles. So articles 10 through 5 are all zoning. We only have a couple of items, as Mr. Piantino said. Article 1 is a small prior year salary under unpaid bills, but Article 6 is a large article with numerous financial amounts that are being divvied up for the town and schools. In that article, we have $250,000 for facilities that are going to the town, and $250,000 for facilities in the school department. Those funds are managed by Mr. Russell, who that laundry list of items that he spoke about will continue in this school year with that funding. So $250,000 for facilities there. And then the other component is $400,000 in one-time revenue to our operating budget. So our operating budget for fiscal '22 is $52.7 million. With approval at town meeting, our budget will officially be $53.1 million. However, we do like to keep that $400,000 for one-time purposes because that is not a continuing revenue in future years. Other than that, it should be, hopefully, knock on wood, a quick meeting and one-nighter. And if all goes well, the school department will walk out with $650,000 in additional revenue for fiscal '22.
Great. All right. We have some minutes to approve here from our August 24th meeting. Give everybody a minute to review those.
Ms. Brate,
Yes.
can I just make a very, very quick comment on the minutes, not an edit or anything like that?
Absolutely.
I just want to say thank you to Mrs. Pazerski. That was by far like the largest group of in-person speakers that we've had in public comment as far back as I can remember, and getting everybody's name and having all their comments done, just stellar work with the minutes, Mrs. Pazerski, so thank you very much.
I just have one edit. It's just at the very end, just a typo, I think, in the motion to adjourn. Just with the names, it's just Mr., you can just take out Boyd after Mr. Greer. Just for the record.
Yeah.
Talk to the town.
Yeah.
Jenny, my compliment still stands.
Great. Okay. Yeah, all in favor?
Yes.
Perfect. 5-0-0. Alrighty, let's see. Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Making a motion?
Sure, yeah.
Motion to adjourn to executive session and not return, right?
All in favor?
It's a roll call.
Oh, roll call vote, Mrs. Pazerski?
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Greer? Ms. Boyd? Mrs. Brate?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
5-0-0. All in favor. I know, same.